Jennifer says, we have a few local clients that are seeing a large increase in their lead volume from our efforts. However, their inability to close leads is becoming a problem. The owners are usually out in the field and their CSR are trained for customer service, not sales. We provided basic sales training resources and some customized phone scripts and workflows to help them capitalize on leads. However, I'm not sure this will move the needle. They don't have the budget for it. In-house sales training, so we're looking for solutions to solve the closing rate problem as well as set expectations for the future. Should we add a clause to our service agreement outlining in the client's responsibility for closing the leads? Anonymous. Anytime you guys are anonymous, I assume you're without pants and don't want anybody else to know it. Says, so we get called to get opt-in to send the Loom video. 20 guys, contractors agreed to get it. 0 responded to a phone call or even text follow-up. How would you proceed when you get radio silence in response to the Loom video, given you needed feedback to improve it at all? Only thing I can think of is to get a targeted buyers list. These guys were mostly your garden variety single solo operators. All right, Amanda Pavel says, I'm a decent web designer and full stack developer, and I'm being paid on a per project basis, but once the project finishes, there's no recurring income except for a small maintenance fee between $50 and $100 per month. My niche is in the B2B and industrial machinery equipment and supply chain business. I want to transition towards recurring income for marketing packages, SEO, emailing, Google ads to charge a monthly retainer. Can you please share your niche and what services you charge for a monthly retainer? Welcome, agency owners, to another good time, another good weekly Q&A, another good stuff. Just a little quick announcement before we get rocking and rolling. I've been building some crazy amount of tools for folks in the Wolfpack to really like have AI help personalize. So I've got like a template and a swipe file that I've used for many, many years to help with many things, you know, generating leads, closing sales, generating Loom videos. It's all just templates, right? Onboarding people is a template, setting expectations is a template, client communication. And so I've been using custom AI GPTs to like program it. So like basically like all you gotta do is click a button and answer like 2-3 questions. This is what I do. And it'll modify our templates to you. So you know exactly what to communicate to a client, or you know exactly what to do to generate leads and opportunities and conversations. You know exactly what to do to create a Loom video, which we can now do in like under 2 minutes. So I think it's a pretty exciting time. For those of you guys who are interested, you can check out the link below, which I've pinned in a comment. And also I've been working on an SEO email list because so many of you guys are trying to go from I just met you to buy my $3,000 a month thing for a year, and it's just too big of a jump for a stranger. And the best way I've found to bridge that gap is just with automated emails and nurturing people. Like, yes, you can go from cold to sold, but man, like you make it way harder because only about 2-3% of people are looking to hire somebody today, and 60% of them, if you give it a long enough period of time, will hire somebody, right? So you make that far more likely to be you by having an email list. And I made it $1 for those of you guys who are interested. You can shoot me a message about that. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. I got a little bit of a cold, but we're gonna proceed onwards. Anyways, let me take a big drink for this part, for the shenanigans. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. Daddy Gun Show, off kicking to the races. You guys got questions? Let's talk about them and see if we can help fix some things, get some clarity. So Chandler, this was one from last week. Sometimes when you guys post comments, by the way, on the actual live stream, they don't show up on my end in the back end admin, and then I see them later after I see there's a replay and like notifications and things like that. So I'm not always like trying to miss your question, by the way. But Chandler said last week, what are the pros and cons of running Facebook ads for PI attorneys? What's the ideal offer to get them cases? All right, so I can speak very intelligently about this niche because I know a lot about it. So for those of you guys who are not familiar with the personal injury attorney niche, one of the unique things about it is of the 100 most expensive keywords on Google, 78 of them are injury attorney. So like almost 80%. Like, so if there's 5 really expensive keywords, 4 of them are personal injury attorney. In fact, there's one I looked at, best mesothelioma lawyer. I can never quite say that word. Maybe I just pulled it off without a hitch. But it's $1,000 for a click. Not even a sale or a conversion, just a single click is $1,000. I don't know if Google sends you a hat or a button or whatever. And so one of the main advantages of Facebook is that it doesn't cost more to target injury people because Facebook is interest-based, and it just really depends on how many people are competing for that same attention. So often you can get clicks for $1 in an industry where $200 a click is an average like Google search kind of keyword, right? So the magic of this for you as somebody is like you can get them cases for a reasonable amount of money. Now the downside of this is it takes more salesmanship, it takes more offers, it takes more intelligent angles to actually make it work. Because it's not like, people were like looking for an attorney at that exact moment. So you got to like do like more like nurture and more make them feel like you qualified. And you mentioned what's the ideal offer. I don't know what the ideal offer is. I'll just share openly what worked for us for a lot of years. Is our offer was a quiz funnel, which was basically like, hey, if you've been in an accident and you meet these criteria, you may qualify for money. Before you even talk to an attorney, fill out this quiz and we'll let you know like whether you got a chance to win some money or not. And they fill it out, and then if they meet the criteria, it then says, okay, here's the attorney, and we connect them to them, and like that was our funnel basically. Like that's what worked for us. I'm not saying that's the perfect answer. The other time, the other offers that work for us is a lot of times if you're working with an attorney who has lots of assets, especially like testimonials and shit, like you can just force feed all their best stuff to the audience. It was basically those two things that worked for us: quiz funnels and hammer them with testimonials from every and all angles. So I hope that's helpful, but that's basically it. Is like it's a harder way to get leads, but they're way cheaper when you crack it. And for if you can get cheaper cases for them, they'll just give you money all day, every day. So I hope that's helpful, my dude. Andrew says, I feel for this one, Andrew, just because like I've been in your shoes in this one. So he says, so a few months ago, I decided to face my fears and try cold calling to get new clients. Most of the time, you either get voicemail, we're not interested, or someone hanging up. So when I got my first talker, I was ecstatic. He was open to talking and wanted to hear more about what I had to offer. We had a great hour-long conversation. He even texted me afterwards that this could be what I'm looking for. I was stoked. I scheduled another time a couple days later for a Zoom call slide presentation. This was before I discovered Frankie's ingenious loom video strategy. He bailed on me and offered no explanation other than my day has gone south. I'm not able to meet today. For the next month, I didn't hear from him despite multiple follow-ups. Finally, I get a hold of him and he tells me he found something else and that most marketers just tell me what I want to hear and take my money. I was unsure of what to say at the time, but he said to follow up in a month or so. A month later, I figured I would address what he said in the first custom loom video. I sent it to him, no response. I asked if he got a chance to look at it. He tells me he hasn't seen it yet, about a week ago. Yesterday, I called him. He said he hasn't been in the best mood or frame of mind to watch it. I try to always be empathetic and realize people have their own lives and stuff they're dealing with. He didn't really elaborate, though. And one thing I think I've learned is that some clients don't really want to win. They will subconsciously do things to sabotage their own success and the success of their business. Deep down, they don't really want their desired outcome, even though they say they do. So after all, the call, it got to me asking, do I even want to have this guy as a client? Because he tells me he's still in the same situation he was when we first spoke months ago, getting no leads and the phone not ringing. And if so, he can't be bothered to watch a 7 to 8 minute loom video. Then he most likely definitely won't be bothered to drop $2,000 a month on advertising campaigns and follow up the leads, etc. Because commitment is like a staircase: first date, then long-term relationship, then marriage. I admit I'm still new to marketing. Perhaps it was something I did. Maybe I just got too attached, as he was my first cold calling prospect that didn't immediately tell me to piss off. Anyways, wondering everyone's thoughts. Thank you, Andrew. My dude, let's just say I feel you. Can I start there? I feel you. So there's a couple of things, and often, one of the reasons that these issues can be like hard to make sense of is because it's like more than one factor, and we're looking for like almost always one thing. Did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? So the first is, to me, I'm not against cold calling, but cold calling by itself, like your perceived status if you're cold calling somebody is just going to be way lower than, say, for example, if that same prospect saw you speak on stage, right? Like I would say status, you're like a 2 out of 3 out of 10, and if you're on stage, maybe you're an 8, 9, or a 10, right? So like when somebody gets cold called, like you're immediately giving up that sort of status play, which is why I'm a much bigger fan, by the way, of generating inbound than I am of outbound. Everybody asks me about outbound, and I know how to do it, and I've done it for years, but I'm a way bigger fan of inbound, of driving people to you, for the simple reason, when they reach out first, It changes the entire dynamic of everything, because instead of you chasing them, it's more like, them sort of chasing you, and it's way more fun to be pursued than it is to be pursuing people, even though you can create things intentionally that bring people to you. So that's the first thing, is I think when you're cold calling, and good for you for like actually just having conversations with people, like you learn from all those conversations, and often the conversations that don't lead to sales are what teach you how to actually close people based on their objections and their things like that. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, I learned this from a guy named Ari Gelper, but like people lie to salespeople all the fucking time. Like all the fucking time, right? So like, fuck you, they ain't telling you the truth. And he had this famous example where he was talking about, he had a call with a prospect and he pitched him, and this was like a whale client that would be like life-changing kind of money forever for them. And he thought he nailed it, and so he was like 10 out of 10, hopped up on, I fucking got it. And he said they forgot to hang up the phone. And this was the conversation he heard. He heard them say, yeah, don't buy from that guy, but keep stringing him along as you can, and try to get him down on price so we can use his proposal to negotiate with our main supplier and say, hey, we got another bid, we need you to come in cheaper. And he said in like a matter of 10 seconds, he went from like top of the world to like air deflated out of the balloon in every possible way. One of those days I want to give up and quit and not play the game anymore. And he said he learned something, really simple, is that people aren't honest with salespeople. So I'll give you one of the reasons people ghost you. And if you understand this, you never take it personally, okay? So I can't tell you the number of times I work in, or I've done stuff for like more than 10 years in like insurance-driven fields. So like water damage restoration and personal injury. And I can't tell you the number of times I have a conversation with somebody who then ghosts me, and then 3-4 months later they call me back and they're all excited, and I say, what happened? And they say, I finally got that big insurance check I was waiting on. Now I'm ready to go. And so a lot of times they were actually feeling you out as a potential thing, knowing that in a few months they would get a big check, and when that lands, they're ready to go. And so a lot of times, like, what seems lost is not lost. Now, the ultimate thing that you said that I think is actually the most important is like, do I even really want this guy as a client? Usually the single solo struggling clients in every business make for the worst. Now you say you have the realization that most people say they want one thing and then don't actually want it in action. Like, they may want it, but they're not actually committed to like doing the things to get it. Like everybody wants to get in shape, but like only 1 or 2 out of 10 people actually do it, right? So you have to understand that those numbers are not like one guy out of 10. If you talk to, in your case, contractors, if you talk to 10 contractors, I promise you that the numbers are probably like 8 of them. Let's go 8. 8 of them say they want more leads and say they want to grow and say they make more money, but deep down, they're subconscious. They don't want the extra responsibility. They don't have to deal with the insurance, the taxes. They're afraid to invest money. They feel stuck where they are. They have an identity that's congruent with where they're. There's endless number of reasons, and they don't really fucking matter. But I say that to you because the realization you had is like thinking that like 1 out of 10 guys is like that, and it's really like 8 out of 10. So that's why I'm like a super stickler on identify the movers and shakers, and the most tried and true method for me is behavior. Meaning, if somebody's actively investing money and hiring people to help them, they'll probably continue to invest money and hire people to help them. That's the most tried and true method. So, I mean, those are like 2 of the things I look for. Are they like actually actively spending money? Are they hiring people to help them solve problems? Because otherwise, Jason Kanigan and I have been talking about this on the weekly sales calls, the weekly sales show that we've been doing. And one of the things is, he calls it the 2 sales. So there's always 2 sales that you should be making. And the first is what he calls, is this a good idea in general? And the second is, should I be the one to provide it for you? And almost always people are jumping to the second sale, and it's the first sale where actually people are fighting you. So that particular client, if they're not investing money, the sale you actually got to make is you should invest money to grow and to solve this problem, right? That's the difficult sale, not the should you choose me. And so, like, this is my way of saying, like, I know it's exciting. You got a real call, and you got to send a Loom video, and you got to have an hour chat. But this doesn't sound like somebody that I would actually think would make a good candidate for what you do. And that's just law of averages. If you talk to 10 of them, that's going to be the case. So, the other thing, too, that I wanted to mention is there's probably some of your own dance steps that are off. And I'll tell you, when I see this a lot when people do follow-up, is it's almost like the prospect holds all the cards, and gets to decide when they wanted to say. Almost like I compare it to like the way most people approach getting clients is like a middle class trying to get hired. When you're trying to get hired, like the boss man controls all the fucking cards, the HR person, there's very little you can do to accelerate that, or at least most people believe that. If you really, really wanted a job, by the way, you could like after the interview, like send a gift basket to the hiring person. You could send them a list of like, these are the 5 things I want to work on together. You could talk about what a pleasure it was to meet together, and you can't wait to get started on these 5 things. And oh, I had another idea for you. I can imagine this is how we could help each other. And like literally start getting to work on it. And what you would find is instead of taking like 3-4 weeks to make a decision on a candidate, they would take 3-4 days and do it a lot faster. So a lot of times when we do dance steps, it's basically like this is what most people do in follow-up. Like, so did you want to buy my shit? Did you read my proposal? Did you read my message? So like, do you want it? And then they just wait, right? And much better dance steps are to elaborate on like really 2 main things. One is like what you plan to do after getting started. So you talk about like, this is how I see it fitting into your website. These are the actual landing pages I want to set up. These are the kind of ads I want to run for you. This is the actual links I want to build. These are the articles we've started writing, whatever it is. And then also proof elements. And obviously if you don't got them, like don't use them. But if you do, use them. And proof elements can be, testimonials, case studies. They could also be just like ad campaigns and things you've set up or really anything. But it's much better to follow up and give them additional information that helps make a decision, including like what I plan to do next for you and also like proof of those things. If you do that, follow-up gets a lot easier because it's a giving process instead of a like, so what do you want to do, right? Like it's a, hey, I was thinking of one more cool idea. Like I can't wait to build this landing page for you. Even if you already have the landing page, you can make a big deal out of that, right? So a lot of times the way most people do follow-up, like it just kind of comes across as desperate, and it makes the prospect feel like they have forever to decide. And another way, by the way, to accelerate that is like, hey, I would love to work with you, and like, but I got kids and bills to pay and stuff like that. So like, I'm only going to be working with 2 attorneys in Atlanta, and I got another guy I'm already talking to. I'd much rather work with you. Like that's totally cool. And one of those spots is already taken. I'd love for that to be you. I totally understand if you're not ready to decide, but I just want to know because like if it won't be you, I'm going to be working with your competition, right? So you want to give them reasons why like you don't have forever to think about this. And by the way, no is a perfectly acceptable answer. I think a lot of times in this, people think salespeople are not mature enough to handle no, and sometimes that's true. But I think most of us would just rather hear like no thanks. And like move on instead of follow up with me in a month and call me back in a month and tell me this and tell me that. Like just fucking buy it or don't buy it, right? So anyways, I hope that's helpful to you, my dude, because you probably got a few overlapping factors. 1, you're talking to a non-buyer. 2, cold calling lowers your status. And 3, your follow-up and dance steps were probably off. But having said that, like you learn a shit ton even just by having an hour conversation with people. So I consider that to be the real win because now you're closer to knowing what that people want and also where their skepticism is, right? Like for me, like in the attorney space, I can tell you who they're the most skeptical of. And often I'll like bring up the names of those companies. I'll say, hey, look, dude, I know you're skeptical. I know about Legal Match. I know about Justia. I know about Avo. I know all the fuckers calling you, like ripping you off. Like I'm aware of them. I know the SEO hucksters. I know you've been promised SEO. And what happens is I become believable simply because I know what they're dealing with. You can't learn that without having conversations with people. So like take the conversation as the real win and the notes you got from it and like figure out how you can tweak your messaging based on those conversations and you'll just get better at it. All right. Jennifer says, we have a few local clients that are seeing a large increase in their lead volume from our efforts. However, their inability to close leads is becoming a problem. The owners are usually out in the field and their CSR are trained for customer service, not sales. We've provided basic sales training resources and some customized phone scripts and workflows to help them capitalize on leads. However, I'm not sure this will move the needle. They don't have the budget for it in-house sales training, so we're looking for solutions to solve the closing rate problem as well as set expectations for the future. Should we add a clause to our service agreement outlining in the client's responsibility for closing the leads? Jennifer, if you want to go that route, so I mean, I'm going to give you like the lowdown on this whole issue as a whole, okay? So this is not a new issue, just so you know. Like this is an ongoing thing that's been an agency problem forever and probably will be an issue for a long time. Is you as an agency generate leads for a client and then they get all this increased opportunities, and what you find out is that they just have a leaking bucket And they're dog shit fucking terrible at closing those fucking leads. And so they get a lot of conversations that go nowhere. And so they say, all the leads are bad. They never like internally say like, I'm doing something wrong. We don't know how to close. It's always the lead. The leads are bad. They're all shit quality. And nothing will dispel that rumor fast enough that when you send the exact leads to like 2 different clients and one of them knows how to close it and one of them doesn't. And the one who doesn't like blames all external factors. The leads are bad. And usually it's basic shit, right? They don't call people back. They take forever to get back to people. They can't answer basic questions like tone of voice. They sound unfriendly on the phone. Or they just flat out don't ask for the fucking sale. Like, would you like to come in for a consultation, right? Like, they don't. And so, like, I understand the frustration, okay? So if you want to deal with that from an expectations point of view, like, even before you take their money, or your salesperson takes their money, or your Loom video takes their money, you say, hey, listen, we found our shit only works if you're willing to address this sales thing. We have scripts, we have training, and we have all that. We're happy to get you guys up to speed, but I do not want you to buy this unless you are committed to actually making that change, because all you're going to find is like you're just going to get a bunch of leads and you won't close any and you'll blame me when it's actually just a sales issue. And we're going to train you on the basic things, how to answer the phone, what to say, what questions to answer, how to close. If you guys are willing and committed to do that, buy this. If you're not, don't buy it. So that's how you deal with it from the expectations point of view. However, I'm a bigger believer. There are 2 other solutions. I'm going to tell you which one I really like, okay? So the 2 other solutions, for the most part, are: 1 is you help them to bridge that gap and close sales. And 2 is, and this is the one I'm going to suggest for all of you guys, and I believe this is what I would call the Wolfpack way, which is take it out of their fucking hands entirely, okay? So I'll give you an example of both, okay? So help them close, okay? So I'll give you some examples of this. 1, I think of Jeff Miller. They have a live transfer service. So they have people like actually pick up the phone, qualify that person, make sure they're a good fit, and then they live transfer over to the company knowing for sure that person is a good lead and ready to buy. Now they just have to focus on not talking to everybody and going, they're all bad leads, but actually just the final steps of like, okay, this is when your appointment is, blah, blah, blah. And so they take them like 99% of the way to the sale and hand them off. A lot of folks we have are doing this with Go High Level, right? Where they send a notification to that person. They let them know, hey, like a missed call text back. Because like one of the issues is businesses are slow at calling people back. They say, hey, we're just on a job right now. And Larry will get back to you in the next 20, 30 minutes. But just wanted to let you know, I saw your message. We'll be in touch. We're just, we're working right now. Give us a minute. And all of a sudden, like, now that person answers the call, right? Because they know who it's coming from. And they know why that call is. And they know what it's about, right? So that's methodology number 1. If you really, like, there's levels in this game where you get paid for. And this is the level you get paid at when you generate leads, okay? This is the level you get paid at when you're able to, like, actually help those leads turn into sales. So almost always that means you need to, like, build a better solution. But once you build it, you get to reuse that solution again and again and again, and it's just better for every client you do. What's up, peeps? I see Jeremy. How's everybody's Monday going? Dude, I'm super stoked for what you're building. So the next piece, I would say, this is, I believe, the future, okay? Don't ask your clients to close, okay? So I'm known as the Loom guy. Why? Because we close our agency shit in videos. But this is the truth, man. Like, we've sold a lot of shit without talking to people. I sold a car without talking to anyone, made like a pretty detailed ad with all the details. I actually had 200 people interested in the first hour in my fucking car. Sold a car without like actually showing it, okay? We've sold crypto. We have sold masterminds. We have sold coaching. We have sold courses. We have sold, obviously, agency services. We have sold client services, okay? So there's, in this day and age, almost always the call is because you're leaving out information. So I'll give you an example, okay? Ilke and I moved from Germany like 4 or 5 years ago, and we had to get rid of a bunch of stuff that you just can't take on an airplane. And I remember one of those things, we had a washer and dryer. And I remember she made a video of the washer. She actually showed it running. And she said, this is how much it is. These are the issues with it. This is what it does. This is how much we're looking for. This is everything you need to know about it. And she had 30 people in the first 30 minutes offer to buy that washer. And again, without talking to her, because they could see the video. They could see what it is. They could see exactly what they're buying. No mystery in it. They could see the downsides. Okay? So I think of this as an example of Lana who, and by the way, Cole, I saw your boner pill message just there, but I think of Lana, okay, for example, and she was struggling with yoga studio owners who were so bad at sales, they couldn't even close a free offer. So their intro offer is come in for a free class. And they're so bad at the fucking phone, they can't even close a free class. Like, just imagine this, right? Don't answer the phone. Don't call people back. Don't know what to say. Person says, where's your location? Actually, I don't know where my address is. It's on Bloom Street. You got to hang a left, blah, blah, blah. Like, stupid shit, right? So this is what Lana figured out, okay? And I believe a lot of you guys can figure this out too. Why don't we just let them book the free session right on the website? Like, why do they have to talk to the client to do that? And we can just set up automated notifications to make sure they get in there. And if we need to, we can add like an appointment setter to make sure they actually show up. Lo and behold, she just told me the other day, I haven't heard a client say the leads are bad in like over a year. Or something like that. I don't know the exact timeline, but it's been a while since a client said the leads are bad. Because they just show up. And usually, by the way, most local businesses are not so bad once they're face-to-face. It's just everything before that they're total garbage at. So I believe, summarizing, there's one of two ways you're going to handle that. Okay? Or three ways, I should say. One is you set the expectation. Don't buy this shit unless you're going to fix your sales process, which requires you, by the way, to get them up to speed, which is harder than the other two solutions. Secondly is you do something to bridge that gap. Appointment setter, a go high level, a notification. Or a third option is you take the payment right on the fucking website and let them buy it. And I'm going to suggest to you, I think way number 3 is the future and the best idea. Personally, I'm a little biased on it. But then what happens is the clients just get people show up and buy their shit. And then they have to focus on being a good yoga teacher or being a good plumber or being a good whatever. I'm not saying this would work in 100% of niches. I probably wouldn't do this in emergency niches like plumbing, where somebody's going, holy shit, my toilet's leaking. Or, those kind of niches. But for the most part, I think it can be sold right over the website and that you guys should, if you can't do it all, do like 99% of it. Sometimes there's like details where they have to ask, and so I'll give you one more example, by the way, closing with the call. I think Chris Di Giovanni, I can never say his last name, but Chris is a genius and he works in the car detailing space. And a lot of guys in the car detailing space, they get phone calls all day long. The person says, how much is it for this? And how much is it for that? And a lot of times those people don't buy it. They hang up the phone and say, well, we'll call you back. I got to talk to my brother, cousin, uncle, former roommate. And what happens is they go, sad face, my day's been interrupted and they didn't even buy. So Chris figured out, just put the packages on the fucking website. That way when people call, they already know how much it is and what's included. And instead they get this phone call. They get less overall phone calls, but more of the phone calls are like, I'm interested in your $2,000 window tinting package. How do I get started with that? Right? And so think about, to me, sell it right on a website, because once you sell it on a website, you don't need the client to do anything. Right? Other than just actually fucking render your service, actually deliver on the thing promised, which they're not terrible at that piece. They're just terrible at, closing. So I hope that's helpful, Jennifer, and anyone else out there struggling with the leads are bad. All your leads are shit. Yeah, you sent us 1,000 leads, but they're all garbage. Not one of them people picked up the phone, and all those kind of things that you have to deal with. Tristan says, I need help creating a solid offer for SEO services. For context, I charge $100 per hour and want clients $1,000 per month. I mainly create backlinks, optimize the website for SEO, and create content. How would you create a solid, non-refusable offer for those services trying to sell it for at least $1,000 a month? I would actually say to you, $1,000 a month is the small side, okay? I don't think $1,000 a lot personally for an agency service is a lot of money. I know for some of you guys that might be life-changing money, so don't let my paradigm. But I actually think that's on the very low end. We got people in our group right now who charge $100K a month for local businesses. Wrap your fucking head around that. So anyway, when it comes to your offer, okay, a lot of times people don't understand this, and so I saw one of the ways I could explain this, okay. So I saw a cartoon, and there were two guys arguing over a book. Let's pretend, for an example, the back of the book is blue. So there's two guys on opposite sides of this book, and the first guy's arguing the book is red. The book is red. And the guy in the back's like, no, dude, that's a fucking blue book. Are you retarded? We're like, that's definitely blue. And they stand there and argue And when you eventually put the book down, you realize both perspectives are true, right? Like the front of the book is red and the back of the book is blue, and neither one of them is actually wrong. They're both right. They just don't see the other perspective, okay? So let me explain how this relates to offers. When people create offers, almost always they think it is about them and their deliverables. We got this many backlinks. We're going to optimize your website. We're going to create content for you. Motherfucker, content! Like, who doesn't want some badass quality content? That's what Google says they want, right? And I would urge you to say that is your red perspective on what you're doing for a client. But actually, if you want to make your offer better, what you have to get clear is on the blue perspective, which is the client perspective, and ask yourself this question, okay? I do the SEO, I do all the content, I optimize their site, and I've been doing this for 6-12 months. Like, what happens in the client's experience as a result of that? And you need to articulate that to them, like what actually gets done. So I'll give you some examples. Like in the restoration space, it was like you'll get 50 to 100 category, I'm looking for the name of it. You get 50 to 100 category 3 flood jobs, phone calls every month, right? That's all they want. They just want a certain type of phone call, like 50 to 100 of them a month. Sounds worth, $2,500 a month or $3K a month or whatever you charge, right? So I say that to you because there's a tendency to think that like the way you make it more valuable from the red perspective, right? You add more shit, more deliverables, more content, more links. And that's how you are able to charge more money. And actually, the way you make it more valuable is to get clear on the outcomes it provides for them. So I'll give you one more example. I think Corey, who's in our group, they charge $20K a month for SEO, and they don't even sell SEO. Just, like they don't say to clients, we're going to do SEO for you. They say, on average, you're going to get about 20 to 30 signed cases a month, or actually, no, I think it's like 40 to 50 signed cases a month. It sounds like per month using our services, which means you'll pay about $500 for a signed motor vehicle accident case, right? He doesn't say, I'm selling you $20,000 a month SEO with all these deliverables. He focuses on the outcome it creates for the client. So in order to do that, there are 2 prerequisites you need to have to dial that in, that offer in. One is you have to know who you're actually creating this SEO package for. A lot of people don't have clarity on that fact, and so it's hard to create a meaningful, specific offer until you have a meaningful, specific person in mind, right? So like the minute I know I'm talking to a dentist with 5 locations or more who gets a lot of teeth whitening patients and Invisalign patients but would much rather have the higher end procedures, like I'm in a much better position to sell SEO just from that, right? So you have to have a clear person in mind that you're talking to. And then secondly, is you have to know what they want, which I've only ever found 2 ways to figure out. One, have conversations with them. And I'll tell you the easiest way to do that is just join a community where they're already actively taking place and just join the fucking discussion. And ask them questions that you want to know the answer to. And then the second thing is you do what I would call market research, which is kind of the same thing. It's just more like you read their conversations. And I've got a video called The Unfair Sales Advantage on our YouTube channel that you guys can find. Go just Beyond Agency Profits, Unfair Sales Advantage. And it'll walk you through for them to tell you in their own words what they're looking to pay for. So like that little 20 minutes of market research is like, it's life-changing, man, because you'll actually speak their language instead of talking about the red perspective where you're going, I'll get you backlinks and I'll do some SEO and I'll optimize this and optimize that, and you can never have too much optimization. You'll start talking about what's meaningful to them. You're going to have 50 to 100 phone calls a month. They're going to be this specific type of leads. This is what they're going to say on the phone. This is how long an average call is. This is what your closing rates on those calls should be. You're not going to get all of them, but like if you get 1 out of 3, like that's a big job. You will ROI from just 1 out of 3, right? Like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to really focus on like, okay, not what you're doing for them, but what it does for them. And this is why I say like, you can change nothing about your deliverable and massively change the offer, right? So like, if you think about a restaurant, how many different ways could a restaurant make an offer, right? Like 2-for-1 wings, happy hour drinks. We got a live band tonight. Come in because we got ramen on special. And for today only, you can get homemade ramen, right? There's no limit to how many offers that a restaurant could make. So I don't want you to think about your offer as your thing. Like a restaurant does food. So you may do SEO and think your offer is like, I make food. It ain't. It's like 2-for-1 wings. Come in, get 2-for-1 wings on Happy Hour Tuesday, right? We'd love to see you on Tuesday and come get all you can eat 2-for-1 rings. And we got $5 pitchers of beer on tap. That's what I used to go for back in my college days. I very much doubt even a shitty homebrew you could find a $5 pint of beer anymore. Anyway, but just illustrating the point, like that's how you dial in your offer is you figure out who it's for and you have conversations with them to figure out what you're actually doing in their experience, and then you articulate this is what will show up for you in your reality, and not talk about how it shows up in your reality, because in your reality you got to optimize a website, you got to fix shit, you got to build the links, you got to post content. That's your version of it, but you need to articulate their version of it. So that's why my saying you're not wrong, you're just talking about the wrong thing. You're going, yeah, it's the most amazing red cover, blah, 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 and you need to go, let me tell you what's going to happen, Mr. Blue, and you'll sell a lot more shit. And it'll be easy for you to get $1,000 a month because they don't care about the work you're going to do for them in any meaningful way. They care about what gets done as a result of that work and the benefits that it creates for them. Anonymous. Anytime you guys are anonymous, I assume you're without pants and don't want anybody else to know it. Says, so we get called to get opt-in to send the Loom video. 20 guys, contractors agreed to get it. 0 responded to a phone call or even text follow-up. How would you proceed when you get radio silence in response to the Loom video, given you needed feedback to improve it at all? Only thing I can think of is to get a targeted buyers list. These guys were mostly your garden variety single solo operators. So pantsless anonymous. Okay. Generally speaking, just so you guys know, the worst clients for a marketing agency, does not matter what niche we're talking about, are the single solo operators. Like if one person is the company, like 19 times out of 20, that person's going to make for a bad client. For many, many reasons. One is like they're often broke, like they haven't reached a stage where they can afford to pay people, so they don't like often have like any sort of long-term vision for you to build a real solution. They're just like, I needed to work 5 minutes ago. They're like often like kind of like, you know, crackheads looking for a fix. And so they're always looking for a Hail Mary. Second reason is, even when they're like cool, often it's hard for them to like answer the phone. And like they're just wearing a lot of fucking hats, right? And so I think your campaign is probably dead out of the water just based on that. Like you would much rather be talking, and this is counterintuitive because I used to think, like I remember the first time I got hired by a $100 million law firm. I remember thinking like, what the fuck am I going to teach a $100 million law firm about marketing, right? Like at all. And you get in there and you realize they got way more problems than anyone else, right? There's 87 different departments. They're managing so many media, TV, radio, billboards, pay-per-click. There's like, it's now gotten to like where it's like a corporate culture where like they got to have 18-minute meetings to just turn the ship 1%. Everything's fucking slow. And, you know, all the things that made the company successful, they're no longer doing. They're like, you wouldn't believe how many problems like somebody at that level has. And so I say that because like a lot of times we think, this is like why I use the shoe store analogy or the shoe buyer analogy. And this is a Dan Kennedy thing, by the way, that everybody gives me credit for. But Dan Kennedy says, if you want to sell shoes, your first instinct will be to sell to somebody who is barefoot and does not own a pair of shoes. When in reality, you want to find the person who already has 200 pairs of shoes in their closet and make a reason why they should own a 201st pair, right? So for you, what that means is, like when you sell marketing services, the first instinct will be to go sell it for need, to sell to people who are essentially like broke and struggling, and go, this would help you tremendously when you actually need to sell it to people who are wildly successful and running major amounts of ads already and just still got problems. They just got different problems, bigger problems actually. So I say that to you because like we all got a soft spot for the solo little guy in our heart, because you know every one of us has been a solo little guy or gal at some point. Like, you know, those are the ones who need it the most, and it's the most life-changing for them. But do that as a charity. Don't do that as your agency business. Don't help those people. Like, don't build your business around the broke struggling unless you want your own business to be broke struggling. So that's the first issue, okay? The second issue you mentioned is issues in follow-up. So this is part of the game, that if you're doing cold outreach, that essentially you're in a chase mode, which you are doing. It's a very different dynamic if it's like an inbound lead where somebody requests information for you and you send them a video. Like, that process looks differently. So often when you're doing this cold, and I haven't talked a ton about this, but you often have to nudge them just to even fucking watch the video. And the best way I found to do that, by the way, let's talk about the worst way, which is what everybody does. Go, so, did you watch my video? Okay. Tell you the best way I found to nudge it along. One word, humor. Like sometimes I'll write a funny poem about why I want them to watch this video, or I'll send a GIF, like a tumbleweed, or like, did you ghost me, bro? Did you ghost me? Or one of my favorites is like, were you kidnapped by aliens? Like, I don't want you to have to find out what they do with that ray gun and where they put it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you've been busy, but check out this video, dude. It's like, it's got good shit. I'm gonna help you to do blank, and at the very least, you'll get some good ideas from the video, right? So there is, like, if you're in the cold outbound, there is like a gap in like chasing, and this is a thing that when you're trying to troubleshoot why an offer isn't working, it can be really, really hard. So you actually have to ask for painful feedback. You can, and the way I do this is I go, hey, seems pretty obvious to me this was something you weren't interested in. I'm like, I ain't gonna try and sell you, I ain't gonna try and harass you, but could you just tell me, like, why? Like Backstreet Boys, tell me why. That song's terrible, but you guys all know it's catchy as fuck. So anyway, it's like, hey, I ain't going to harass you, I ain't going to try and sell you, but I would like you to tell me honestly and sincerely no. And a lot of times, by the way, the random assholes who are like the harshest to cold strangers are actually your best friend in this, because they'll tell you the cold, unvarnished truth. So we got, like, I think like we did one of these in the real estate niche, and the dude was like, fuck you, I get 1,000 of these a day and I'm pitched so much and they're all just bullshit, they're all hypey promises, and you're like, you're offering me sellers. I don't even want fucking sellers, I need buyers right now. And it clicked. It's like, that's right, they don't want sellers right now, they want buyers. Okay, so like just changing that detail in the Loom video massively improved it. We went from like, I'm gonna help you sell shit, or I'm gonna help you get listings, to I'm gonna help you get buyers for the listings you already got. All of a sudden that promise gets massively more exciting. And that is not possible without feedback from the market. So that is one way we've invited feedback. I just want the truth. I ain't going to sell you. I ain't going to harass you. I would love to know why that is not a fit for you, because I'm always trying to improve this. And if you send that to like 5 or 10 of them, like 1 or 2 of them are actually going to answer and give you a real answer. And use that information. And often it comes in very harsh criticism way, because they're like, they don't know you, they don't trust you, they don't like you, so they don't feel the need to be nice to you. But you're just looking for the unvarnished truth. Like, okay, behind all the meanness is like, okay, I don't want sellers, I want buyers. Okay, got it. And then you tweak your message. Because, like, what's the difference between running a Facebook ad to get a seller and a buyer? Or a Google ad to get a seller versus a buyer? It's a little bit different, but it ain't like that different. Like, it's just, like I say, it creates 10-degree shifts in your messaging and your offering. But that's what I would look for in dialing in that process, is find out why they're saying no. And even, by the way, even the people who aren't bad clients, the small solo guys who may not be a fit, can still provide very valuable feedback, because they're often looking for the same things the bigger guys are as well. And they have the same kinds of problems, just, you know, smaller versions of those same problems. All right, a man Pavel says, I'm a decent web designer and full stack developer, and I'm being paid on a per project basis, but once the project finishes, there's no recurring income except for a small maintenance fee between $50 and $100 per month. My niche is in the B2B and industrial machinery equipment and supply chain business. I want to transition towards recurring income for marketing packages, SEO, emailing, Google ads to charge a monthly retainer. Can you please share your niche and what services you charge for a monthly retainer? So to your last question, Pavel, we got people in every fucking niche charging every amount of money you can imagine. So I don't know if that's a useful question to give you an answer to, just because it's such a wide spectrum. But I will tell you, I feel you. Like, when you're selling a one-off thing like a website, it's nice. But as long as you're not selling websites, like, money is not continuously coming in the door. And so, like, there's a pressure that you always have to sell the next website to, like, even be in business. And you get a little bit of recurring, but it's small. And so to me, like, if you look at this like as a, like, I'm serving the client beyond just I'm a web designer, like I think people sometimes get stuck in literally identifying as a web designer instead of saying I help clients to do what they want. Then you can look at, like, simply what's next. And I would suggest that, like, 9 times out of 10, the next thing is going to be SEO for a lot of those people. You know, it may not work in every industry you're part of, but, like, what is the next thing that is recurring? So we have like Inc. 5000 fastest growing agencies in our group. And I know for a fact a few of them also sell websites, just like you do. What's different is they have a follow-up and nurture campaign so that as soon as you buy the website, like they immediately start pitching you the SEO over a series of like 20, 30 emails and say like, you should get SEO, you should get SEO. Here's a case study. Here's some information about SEO. Here's how it works. Here's what the process looks like. Here's how long it's going to take you. Here's another case study. Here's another case study. Would you be interested in getting that next thing? And so for those of you guys who are interested, I mean, we got a list of like vetted white label partners. You guys can just borrow that. Like just borrow it and like literally just bring in partners that are good, that can help you fulfill on it and charge double for it. Like my first agency existed because there was a dude out there who sold websites and did not want to do SEO, but kept getting asked by it for so many of his clients. So he hired what is now known today as a white label partner. Can you do this for me at a relatively affordable rate so I can mark it up and make some money too? And we'll both make a little bit of money off every client, and I'll just bring you clients all day long. That was the arrangement we had for like almost 10 years. So I say that to you guys because before you go out getting new people, like see how you can serve the ones you already got. And chances are you're going to have to do some like, you know, some sort of campaign to up-level them into the next thing. It's not just like, hey, so do you want to hire me for SEO? You got to give them information. You got to tell them how it works. That's why I like email lists, because it's the most automated, scalable way. Because once you figure it out for one person with an email list, then you can just like, anytime you want to up-level clients, you sell a website, you just add them to the fucking email list, and you wait 2 to 3 months, and then lo and behold, you know, 30, 40, 50% of them will buy SEO packages from you. And then it starts making financial sense to go sell websites, because you never know which one of those are going to be recurring clients for 5 years, 10 years, right? And the math in your business will get better. So anyways, I hope that's helpful, my dude, because I think the next thing is sell them some SEO. And then, of course, then you don't have to stop selling websites, because then your websites naturally lead into the SEO. And so you get recurring, and you get to be a web designer. That's why I say, like, expand the identity behind like the box that says I'm a web designer, and expand it to I'm serving these clients to get what they want. And like Jay Abraham calls that the strategy of preeminence. Become their like bestie for life. Like how can you be their most trusted advisor for the rest of their life? If you really think about that, you're going to do more than just like, all right, here's your website, have a nice fucking life. Hope all is well. You're going to take an interest in them. How are you doing? What's happening for you? Oh, shit. Like, anytime I can help a client, by the way, even if it's some, like, nonsensical shit. Like, I had a guy who, like, I think of an attorney who he lost his superstar attorney, and he needed to, like, run some ads and get some recommendations and didn't really know how to go about it. So I wrote the fucking ads for him because I already had our own ads. It was, like, modify our template. It was, like, 3 fucking minutes for me. And you know, this is how we ask, do you know anybody? This is our script to get recommended candidates. You can go use these, right? Like, and you only do those kind of things if you're not in the box of, like, I'm your web designer. I used to think, by the way, when I used to work at the Ford Motor Company, I eventually, after, like, 3-4 months, I worked my way up to a floor supervisor, so I was, like, middle management. Fun place to be, by the way. Like, your bosses are always mad at you, and your employees are mad at you because they have different objectives, and, like, you're just taking everybody's shit in the middle. Middle management, that is the joy. But because they were like really, like Ford is a super union place, this was a line I used to hear every shift I was there. People would say, ain't my fucking job. And I was like, what do you guys even do? Like they just have this small box where I'm only responsible for this one thing. And then what happens over time is the cost to run that place go up over time. And then what actually happened in real life, Ford's like, fuck it, we'll just move this plant to Mexico where the labor isn't so expensive. And that's what happened. Everybody was out of a job eventually from the mindset of it's not my job. So to me, I think anything you can do to help a client, especially things that are energetically efficient for you, meaning like you're not going to spend fucking hours and years and lifetimes if a client said to me, I need you to custom build a software from scratch, like that would take me fucking 3 years to figure out how to do it. But if somebody says like, I need to hire somebody, do you got an ad? I'm like, here you go, copy paste. This is the ad that works for us, and this is like the 2-3 things we do after the ad that like help us screen for candidates. So for you guys, like Think about that. Think about really Jay Abraham's strategy of preeminence. How can I be your most trusted advisor for life? Then you'll realize, by the way, that the website is just a lead generation for your recurring white label SEO that you probably don't even fulfill on or report on. Anyways, last one. We got Scott here. This wasn't so much as a question. I just wanted to comment on it for those of you guys who are like working your offers. He says, these guys, why the hell do they need us? The email came in and the landing page states, want fully automated, 100% done for you lead sales and fulfillment for your marketing agency. If you want to automate your lead generation, sales and fulfillment for your marketing agency, complete this form to see exactly how we do it. And Scott says, so they generate the leads, sales, and fulfillment. They only want from anyone is money to run ads, cold emails, and the sales team, I bet. So I say this on you guys. Why I brought this one up is a lot of you guys are like working on your offers. And when you guys are working on your offers, there's a tendency to feel like when your offer doesn't land, that as a response to that, that the promise should get bigger and therefore more exciting, right? Like, you know, like, hey, like it'd be the equivalent of like, hey, we can get you a dating profile to like, we can get you a date to then like, we can get you a girlfriend to like, we can get you 30 hot Playboy models and you're dating them all at the same time, right? Like that's how marketing promises get. And nobody believes the high-end overhyped nonsense. Nobody. They don't work. Clients hate receiving them. But this is an internal pressure we feel to like be able to compete in the marketplace. And I'm here to tell you the opposite of that, in what in my opinion is the correct way to do it, is to get more granular and more specific on what you actually do for a client and how that actually shows up in their reality. Again, like, okay, you know, and like in their case, like if they're going to do done for you lead generation, I think it would actually be a better promise if they sent me an example of one lead that they could really, really actually get and say, we think we could bring you somebody like this. Are you open to talking about having a couple of people like this to speak with? And like show them an actual real fucking lead that you can generate. Not a hyped up like, we get you 10,000, 10 fucking million of a more sales model. Like, but to go like, I'll get you one specific like this. And almost always, by the way, you have to think about it as one. You have to think about like one specific thing that's going to get done for them, right? And then, like, I've always found the best way to do that, show them in a picture, not with words. So for you guys, like, you know, making your own offers and putting stuff out in the marketplace, there's a tendency when you like talk with clients and they respond negatively or they don't get back to you at all, or you never fucking hear from them again, or they're just flat out fucking rude and like, fuck you, to then think, they're just burned by all these promises, I got to make a bigger one so I can be different. But actually the way you get different is getting more specific, right? Like, okay, so I'll give you a real life example. Let's say we're working with financial planners, okay? There is a tendency to think, you go talk to a financial planner, you say, I can get you more leads. And he goes, oh, not another fucking lead generator. And you finally get a response from him, and he says, fuck off, I don't need any more leads. There's a tendency to think now you should go, I can get you 1,000 quality leads. Garrett motherfucking Teed, motherfucker, I'll pay you $1,000 if I'm fucking lying. Right? Like there's a tendency to think you should go that direction. And I actually think what you need to do is get more specific, like what kind of lead would be meaningful to you? Okay, you want somebody who's like got at least $500,000 in net worth. Okay. What else? Well, I'd really like somebody like pre-booked on my calendar because like I'm not so good at selling them on the phone. Like if you could bring them where they just show up and I just got to meet with them and talk finance, I'm good in that environment. Okay? What else? They got to own their own home. Okay. Anything else? No, that's mostly it. And now your promise becomes, hey, we can get you, you know, these specific kinds of people. The ones who have at least $500,000 net worth. The ones who own their own house. The ones who are willing to actually book a call and schedule and talk to you one-on-one so that you can give them your spiel. It's a better promise than, we get you more leads and more sales and 1,000 of them in quality and we pay you $1,000 motherfucking dollars, right? And this is why everybody hates marketers, is when you feel that internal pressure that you got to compete in a marketplace, is to think about going bigger instead of going specific, where you can be the only one who's saying exactly that. Right? Everybody else be going, we get you SEO and more backlinks and #1 on the motherfucking Google. And yet the financial plan is you're saying, hey, if you just want to talk to people who got $500,000 net worth and own their own house, I forget what the third criteria is, but you guys get the gist of it. And like actually put those people on your calendar. That was the third thing. And we can do that for about $500 a piece on Facebook ads. Should we talk? So a lot of times, by the way, what this means is you guys have to think one step later than, like, a lot of people are trying so hard to get the words right in the sales pitch. They don't think about, what am I actually going to do after? And most of the right messaging is about what's going to happen after. Not about, like, why your shit is the most awesome, latest, greatest, but it actually needs to be about, like, you can get these kind of leads, this is what's going to show up, this is how they're going to come up on the calendar, this is how long it takes to work, like, that kind of shit. Because the specifics are what make it believable, by the way. And also, by the way, when you're not 100% sure it's going to work, like, say you're doing it for somebody new, or you only tried it one time and did it for one other guy, like, you don't have to lie about that. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the interview I did with Mo, but he said, like, when people are new, just tell me you're fucking new. And, like, you're going to give me some super awesome deal because I'm new. And I'm happy to, like, roll the dice on some new shit. But don't lie and tell me, like, you've done this a million times before and you're going to get me 1,000 fucking quality leads. Guaranteed, motherfucker. Especially, by the way, this is extra true when you guys are talking to sophisticated clients who, like, actually, like, are still going to be in business from 10 years. The ones who, like, have played the long game already and are still playing it. Like, they're not just in this for, like, they didn't start a gardening business to get rich overnight. They're like, they're still going to be doing a gardening business even 10 years from now. So specifics not only, like, are better at, like, actually getting the yeses. And so this is why I say, like, too many people are way too hard in, like, trying to get a perfect message and not thinking about, like, this is what I'm actually going to do for you after the fact. And this is what it'll look like for you. And getting clear on those specifics and just communicating that, like, you'll be much better at what goes out into your marketplace. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. Last piece, that was the last question we had, by the way. The last piece here I just want to mention, for those of you guys who have not checked out the Wolfpack, one of the things I've been working on, like, to be just, like, help everybody get a giant efficiency leap in the game, is turning everything that's really worked for us for a long time into, like, templates that then can be personalized. And the way we figured out how to do that is, like, I have, like, a direct mail template, for example. Like, I send it out whenever I want to drum up business. I don't bat 1,000 with it, but more often than not, it just fucking works. And it's always the same letter, but, like, a couple of the specifics change, right? Like, if I was sending it one time to a personal injury attorney, it would sound different than it would sound to a water damage restoration guy. But it's still the same kind of shit and the same kind of offer. And so we've created custom GPTs that can then personalize it. So all you got to do is go, hey, I'm writing this for a personal injury attorney. We're going to run some Facebook ads for him. This is what we're going to do. And it'll go boop, and personalize that entire direct mail letter. But it's still written with a fucking script that we know works. And so you can personalize it to whatever use you want to do it. So we have, like, probably, like, 20 or 30 things that right now that we're building that are all of that function of, like, you start with a working thing that's known to have worked for a long time and then just personalize it to you, such as, like, client communication. I built a bot the other day for, like, this is what you need to say to the client in the first 30 days. It's all the same principles, but it varies depending on, like, what you're delivering. So I figured out how to get AI to, like, just help us personalize the details, because it usually just depends on, like, 2-3 variables, right? Like, how long does your shit take to work? Well, you're going to need more communication if it takes a long time. Oh, it's database reactivation. It works in 4 days. Okay, well, you just need, like, 3-4 days of communication, right? Like, it's different depending on what you're doing, but it's always the same principles, right? So so that's a really cool use that we found that we're building. And the whole point of this, for me, is to make your lives easier so that when you guys build this shit, like, you don't have to figure out all the fucking client communication. You don't have to figure out what to say to get clients. You don't. We got a Loom GPT, and I've been playing with just getting it to, like, where it's really tight, where, like, you answer, like, 4 or 5 questions based on, like, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm doing for it, this is how much we charge. And then it goes, here are your Loom slides, and it goes, and, like, spits out the presentation. And then we got another tool you can copy and paste that to, and it'll go, all right, here are your slides. And it's like, it's 3 minutes later. you're looking at your own Loom video, and all you had to do is answer like 4 or 5 questions about, this is what we do. So I've been building that and some tools like that, and hopefully the goal is to give you guys some energy efficient. Like, I don't know anybody who's not burnt out and overworked in this day and age. And I think getting your time back in your life and not having the business be all encompassing is, to me, about leverage. Like, leverage to me is like if I do a small amount of energy and I get a big amount of output, and like it takes 3 minutes to personalize that direct mail letter and then just load it up into this program, and they'll mail it out for you $50 a piece, and click this button in this software to generate the list, and 10 minutes later you're emailing or you're direct mailing 50 buyers in your niche, or you're creating a YouTube script based on the ones we know work. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I'm not usually a brag about my stats dude. But I was just actually curious because I don't even monitor our YouTube ads. I don't have a media buyer. There's just me. Don't even pay attention to them. And I just looked, and it was 280,000 clicks we had on our campaign. And as well, the cost per click, I think, was 5 cents. So for a year and a half, where everybody's like, oh my God, my traffic costs, and I can't afford this. All day long, we get people to buy and click on our shit for 5 cents a piece. Usually, if you got an agency service that's at least $1,000 a month, usually that's going to be pretty good math. So, anyways, we figure out how to take your stuff and put it in front of people on YouTube. So there's lots of variations, and part of the goal for me creating variations is because different people have different personalities. Some people, you got to put yourself out there and close people, and then actually fulfill on promises, and actually support people after the fact if you're going to succeed at this long term. And we want to build all kinds of pieces that just make your life easier. So I'm probably a little off on a tangent here. I can feel that. But anyways, I just want to say we're building cool shit because I appreciate you guys. I want to make your lives easier. I want to see you guys win at this game more often than not. And I just want to see your clients get happy too, right? It's not just, we all win when we do it right. So anyways, that's my vision for what we're building. Much love for you guys. Appreciate you guys, and may the force be with you.
Guys, if you like this video, you're also going to want to grab some free bonuses, which you can get at our website, Beyond Agency Profits. To make it easy for you, I've put the links to it in the description of this video, as well as pinned in the top comment. And we've got a couple of awesome things. This is what you'll get after you sign up. You get some of our best training, how we're closing clients over Loom videos, how we sometimes sign clients that is not a misprint for under $5 US, how to demonstrate your value in amazing ways, trainings, how to have your clients write the best copy of your life, how we're closing without phone calls, campaigns that we've generated for clients that have done over $100,000, as well as scripts you can use to get conversations going with clients in under 10 minutes. All you got to simply do is go there, enter your name and email address, and then this is what you'll see on the other side. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to click the links below, and I will see you on the other side.